friends, this is Grace and welcome to my channel and welcome to my first video series, card series for the year 2021. And I'm sharing with you the items that I pulled out from my stash. This is going to be a play on my usual 10 handmade cards, 1 homemade kit. But instead of doing 10 different cards, I decided to pick a sketch in Pinterest and kind of do it 5 different ways. So you saw the sketch in the beginning of this video, and it's basically just 1-inch squares cut into diamond or placed as diamond shapes on the card, the top of the card, and then just the sentiment on the bottom. And so I've already cut out some shapes. I figured that the best way to use this sketch in many different ways is to change out the shapes. So I have some circles, I have hexagons, and of course I have the squares that was turned into diamonds. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is just follow the sketch to a T, and that's what I'm going to do here. Now this background piece is a little bit busy on right now, but I'm going to plug along, but I will change that in a little bit. I'm just looking for how I'm going to arrange this, making sure that I have a good representation of the different patterns of this particular of the papers on the layout. And so as you can see, I changed the paper, the background piece, from the pink one that's pretty busy with all the circles to this yellow one that has a more subtle design on it, and I like that one better. I actually like the lined pink paper too, but I have that already as part of my 1-inch circle pieces, so I'm not going to use that in this particular card. So one of the things that inspired me to do this particular, like, one card sketch 5 ways is I watched Allison Davis video, and I'm gonna put a link in her on her channel, put a link for her channel in the description box below. I can't speak this morning, I'm sorry. Anyways, she does this kind of one sketch many different ways type of video, but in the layout form. And so I decided that I will do that in the card form just because I like that idea. And I already make layouts with sketches anyway, so it's not going to be a big challenge for me to do that when it comes to layouts. So I'm trying to challenge myself this year, but doing it kind of, or I'm trying to be inspired by people that I see here on YouTube, but kind of doing it in my own way. So anyways, card number 1 is almost done. I did trim off the edges so that you can see the lines of the background piece, and I'm going to trim the background piece just a little bit because it's a little too long for my liking. And I'm going to go with a craft cardstock. I make card bases in the colors of white and craft, and so I have a bunch of them already prepared. Now, as you can see, I pulled out the simple Simon Says stamp, stamp, and it just has a bunch of different kinds of sentiments, but they're all in script. And I think Christina Warner was the one that created all of those, or hand wrote all of those sentiments. And so I really like the way the sentiments were written, and I stamped them on on pink cardstock and heat embossed them with gold. I thought that the gold will work well because there are some gold tones in this particular paper pad. I don't think that I've featured them here, but at least they were part of the paper pad. And then I'm going to finish off with these blue rhinestones here. I'm going to add them in 3 different positions to create a visual triangle, and card number 1 will be done. One of the things that I liked about the 10 handmade cards 1 homemade kit that I do is that I get to use a stash that I don't normally use, and that's one of the things that I that I incorporated. Sorry about that. I had to take a break and get some water in order to get that frog out of my throat. I don't know if I got it out, but I hope so. Anyways, one of the things that I really like about the 10 handmade cards 1 homemade kit is the idea of being able to use up my stash and revisiting them. And one of the cases, this blue rhinestone, because I really like it, but somehow I don't use it enough. So I'm glad that I was able to pull that out here for this particular series. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the squares again. And this time I didn't have a plan for this particular card. I just know that I wanted to use the squares, and I kind of wanted to flip the sketch 45 degree, or sorry, not 45, but 90 degrees. And so that the design will be on the left side and the card will become a horizontal one instead of a vertical one. And so I started off with squares, and I really liked the squares, but I didn't have enough of the papers cut out for that. And so I just said, well, maybe I'll just turn it and make it into a triangle again and then fill it that way. And so that's what I'm doing here. And initially I'm going to follow the sketch that I had. And so I'm going to have like 3 lines of it. But then I discovered that I like how the smaller smaller diamonds became a bigger diamond with this particular design. So I ended up just using 9 of them instead of, I think, 10 or 11, and then it just became a bigger diamond shape. So I like that one. And that was another thing that I would recommend to you guys if you are doing this kind of sketch or stretching your sketch, whether it's card or whether it's layout, is just play with it. Play with the elements that is in the sketch, and then you will be quite pleased with some of the discoveries that you can find that you didn't even know that could be done with the sketch that you are using. And so I'm just adhering them with some dot adhesive, and I have yellows in these particular boxes or squares of paper, and I'm trying to make sure that they are not too close together so that there's a good representation of those colors in this particular card. So I'm just finishing off adhering the last of my squares, and this card is actually going to go by pretty fast just because I have all of the items already cut and also the sentiment heat embossed. I just did a mass heat embossing of all of the sentiments that I wanted to use for that particular stamp set, and then heat emboss them all at the same time because I knew that I was going to make at least 5 cards with it. I did end up just doing 5 just because I kind of ran out of steam, but there are many possibilities with this particular sketch. I was trying to toy with the idea of adding that single square piece and maybe adding it as a with a foam adhesive to make it stand out, but I did not want to ruin the diamond shape that I've already created with this card. Let me know in the description box below, did you guys think that I should have added that other square as with a foam adhesive, or is it good to just keep this keep the design as is? So I'm going to go with a happy birthday here, and I'm just adding some, again, dot adhesive to adhere that. I tried not to make this too thick of a card because I do like mailing my cards. And also, if I do try to sell my cards, which I am contemplating of opening up my Etsy shop again this year, if I do that, then I want to be able to sell my cards, and the people that will buy it know that they can easily mail my cards without extra shipping involved. So that's the plan anyways. Now I'm just going to add a few more of those blue rhinestones here, and then add that to a card base, because at this point I'm just happily creating the cards that I totally forgot that this is just a card front and it's not adhered to a card base just yet. So I finished the card, and then I realized, oh wait, I have to add that to an actual card base. So that's what I'm doing here, and that will do it for card number 2. I will be dividing this video into 2 just because I feel like it's a bit long, and so watch out for video number 2 for this particular series. If you like these kinds of videos, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and also hit that bell button so that you will be notified by YouTube when I post the next video. So on to card number 3, and this one is, again, I'm going to go with the vertical one, but I'm going to kind of switch it around and do the sketch will be flipped to its left side, but the card orientation would still be vertical. And I'm using circles here. But instead of just doing one size, I actually cut my circles into 3 different sizes. And I have to say, this is one of my favorites from the cards that I created for this particular sketch. I just love the circles. I think that's one of my favorite shapes. I like the different sizes that I was able to create with this, and I like that they were overlapping, and the designs of the papers also spoke to me. So I really like this one. And then I'm going to go with this with sympathy sentiment. I don't have a lot of these type of cards. I don't like making these types of cards, of course, because then that just means that there's somebody that's sad and mourning. But I do have to at least add them in my stash just so that I will have one in case I need to send this out to somebody that I love and thinking of. So I'm just adhering everything now. One of the things that I was kind of lazy of doing is not inking the edges of these circles. I think if I've inked up the edges of the circles, it would stand out a little bit more against the background. And so if you are trying to scrap lift this card, I would suggest to try to do that just because it makes your shapes stand out a little bit better. And I really, really like how the overlap makes a big statement, but you can still see the different shapes that I was able to create. My favorite part of the circles is of course this single heart right here, and it matches well with my simple sentiment. So I'm just going to adhere my sentiment, and again I'm going to trim off the edges of those circles. I'm going to add some rhinestones to it, and then I am going to add this to a card front, again a craft card front, because I felt like the craft works well with these particular colors of the papers. And that's going to be it for me. Again, if you have any questions, make sure that you leave that in the comment section below. And if you are liking these videos, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, and also sharing my videos to some crafters that you think would like my style of creating. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.